Hello, it's me again. I am in a forest. That opening video was my ride to this forest. It's rainy. It's called coldish. It's autumnal, as it were, which means no more oak processional spinners. The caterpillars that fell on my neck. I think it was episode 12 or something like that, which gave me an incredibly awful rash. I'm safe from that now. Not safe from boars, but that's okay. And soon, in about 2 weeks, I won't be safe from hunters. But check this out. So I've got my bomber jacket, right? This is what I learned last night, because I bike home from the gym and then take a train and all of that stuff. And I have to ride on a small stretch of road. And I don't really like driving my bike with cars that are coming behind me. Especially, oddly enough, electric cars, because I've always been easily startled, and there was a bug in my ear. Hi, it's gone. And so when a car just sort of shows up behind me, I get like, and I've always been kind of worried about safety. But check this out. So my bomber jacket, right? So bomber jackets, they're all like pump and stuff, right? They're reversible. Alright, the zipper is like kind of on the inside out, so that's a little weird. But, so hunting season's starting in like 2 weeks, and I don't have to buy anything new to, tell people not to kill me, that I'm not a boar. Well, sometimes I feel like a boar. That's a long story, but if I have any huge connection to any animals right now, it's boars, which is pretty cool. But anyway, I just touched the camera to tell it to stop doing something. Anyway, so I'm gonna put this right side out, or nah, I'm just gonna no coat because it's not too cold. So this place I'm in right now, this is where I made my first video, actually. Over there. I guess we're on like what, 23 or 24 now. You remember in that video I was reflecting on how I wanted it to be spring, and it was technically spring, but it didn't feel like spring inside, and I didn't feel like I was healing fast enough, and I wanted flowers in my soul, even though there were already flowers, just like there were already flowers everywhere. And so summer has passed, now we're in autumn, which is a new season. Gorgeous season here. Leaves are falling. You can hear more crows. By the way, well, so those are ravens. By the way, this has been really interesting to me. Not gonna say it's me, but I was told that the amount of ravens that everybody's seeing here is insane. I've seen a lot of wasps too, so it's not just ravens. But there are ravens flocking outside of the window every morning and every night, dancing. And they're everywhere here. Everyone thinks it's strange, like, well, it's not usual for there to be so many ravens here. Now, I'm not saying it's because there's a druid here. There's also the other possibility, probably a little bit more likely if you're more or less esoterically minded. Confinement here, which lasted 7 weeks, helped a lot of animals live. For example, foxes. There have been a lot of foxes lately. There is rumor, I've been told, someone saw a lynx. Lynxes have been gone from here for many years, along with the wolf. They live in Germany, and they had been talking about at some point maybe the lynxes would come through, and maybe the confinement would actually help that. Because 7 weeks of society sort of shutting down meant that was 7 weeks of not so many cars on the road, not so much industry, not so much noise, not so much pollution, so the animals could do better. The boar population is apparently pretty high too. So it's not just because there's a druid here, but you know my connection with ravens, or probably do. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so I rode my bike here. I filmed my path. I filmed it because I wanted to give you a sense of what I get to see. Where, I've spoken before. These little paths are the old paths between villages. There are newer roads that kind of cut through more directly, but before that, those new roads weren't here. Instead, they were these tiny little roads that are now paved in many places, but not all. And you would take one little path from one village to go see your cousin or your friends or your lover, in another village about 3 kilometers away, 5 kilometers away, etc. You'd walk through forest to do it. In fact, some of these paths go directly through forests, up hills, down hills. I've taken my bike on them. They're great. And I don't know, there's, if you've read the myth of Little Red Riding Hood, or not myth, the fable story, whatever, there's always this, it's like, why is she walking alone at night through the forest? That doesn't make any sense. But it does, because you would have to. If you were somewhere going to the market and it was a long walk, you'd be taking the path home. That was normal life. Which also meant that, while there were always scary things in the woods that could scare you, eat you, like wolves, which they usually won't attack a person walking on the path. But while those things were always there, the fear of the forest was different. We have this idealized idea of a forest, full of Bambi and well, Bambi. I mean, what else is there in the forest, right? Forests are dark. Forests are scary sometimes, but also they're not. The other night I rode through a forest a lot. Oh, this is so fun. So in Europe, as I said, there are all these little paths, and there were traditional paths that you would take when, and that you would use specifically to take your dead people to the graveyard, to the church, etc. There were processional paths, cemetery roads, as it were. Here there are 2 cemetery roads very nearby, and they cross. There's a place where you are standing in the middle of a crossroads of 2 carting paths for the dead. I think you can probably guess what kind of magic can be done there. If not, maybe I'll write about it sometime. But yeah, so the animals are back. The forest is doing pretty well now that the caterpillars are dead. I can kind of hang out here a little bit more. Oh, hello. Cute. Sorry. I get distracted. I was thinking about like that relationship that people had to animals and to forests, and where the scary was always here and close by. And have you ever, well, okay, so if you burn a fire in a forest, don't burn down a forest, but if you're doing it responsibly and you're sitting with your friends around a firelight, there's a circle. There's just the circle around the fire, and then the circle of light. Beyond that circle of light, though, is darkness, intense darkness. It feels even darker than it is normally because you've got light, and that contrast is intense. You're walking down a path carrying a torch or a lantern. All of the shadows by you are going to seem even more intense. That wall of trees looks like it can jump out at you at any time. And it's interesting that we used to have more of an experience of the unknown, the other, etc. While also simultaneously kind of realizing we were part of it. It's close by. It's not like in a city where, the big fear is, oh, I don't want to walk alone because a human might attack me. Whereas, that wasn't the fear here. I don't want to walk alone because of the forest, the animals, the darkness. And yet, that was a regular part of life. It was a regular part of life that when someone died, you kept the body in the house for several days. You took care of the body yourself. And then the priest came from another village, oftentimes, eventually to do all of the preparations for it. And then you and your family and friends and everyone else from the village would take that body on a cart to the cemetery to put them there in the sacred ground. That was normal. That was every day. Not every day, but that was a part of existence. Now we're so far away from that. We think we're so modern and so amazing. We're not. Right, that was really no good reason to break the stick, but I guess I helped it decompose. Humans do that, by the way. We help things decompose. Just like worms and bacteria. Where is it going with this? I don't remember. Is that okay? I think it's probably okay. I feel intensely connected to something here. Just 2 weeks ago, I was riding my bike. It was a foggy, slightly rainy day. The thought that just kept coming into my head was, this feels like God's. This feels like God's. And here, now, this feels like God's. All of it. Intensely, more intensely than it has in a long time. And I think part of the reason why I'm feeling more connected, besides having all of this time to be in this forest, in these forests, in this land, to discover it, explore it, listen to it, is that at the same time I've not been doing so much social media. I spend about an hour and a half at most now every week on Facebook and Twitter combined. It's not an hour and a half a day, that's an hour and a half total. I know some of you don't even use it. My best friend in the whole wide world, Nick, who is amazing, he hasn't been on any social media, I think now for at least 4 years, 5 years. I have another friend who, he has been off of it since the first, where was it? 2000, I think, so about 10 years. And it's interesting how at one point it kind of isolates you because you don't have this feeling of connection, except it's only a feeling of connection. You're not really connected to anyone on media. You know, you click something and it tells them that means that you like them or love them. You comment on something and it's just words, but they're not even words. They're pixels on a screen that you're staring at. You're staring at. You're staring at. And when you stare at a screen, you don't see anything else. I remember the first time I watched a film, Stones. I haven't done that much. I don't really smoke marijuana or anything, except for cigarettes. But the first time I left a theater when I was stoned, the jolts of the moment when everything was this reality, this screen, and you forgot that it was a screen because there's all this stuff being projected on it and you're in the movie. And then it's over and you look around and you feel a little panicked because, did anyone notice I was just staring at the same place for 2.5 hours? Did I notice I was just staring at the same place for 2.5 hours? I mean, that's kind of what screens and social media does. Like, does anyone else notice I'm just staring at my hands with something in it? I'm staring at something in my hand and it tells me things. It tells me things. It tells me I'm connected. It tells me people want to kill me. It tells me cute kittens. Those are all nice distractions, but all we're really doing is staring at our hands or something in our hands. And right here, or right here, or right here, or there, disappears for us. So having kind of broken my addiction, I guess, it's not fully broken. I still, I'm still like, I want to see what everyone's saying, and then I'll look and I'm like, oh, they're still saying that stuff? Yeah. But, I still have to know. And, you're probably like that too. I need to know what people are saying. I need it, but as I said, I've mostly broken my addiction to that, which has connected me to this more, which has helped me to listen more, has helped me to feel this more, and to feel this is real in all of its like non-idealized beauty. It's not, it's itself. Like all of our ideas of what forest should be, what animals should be, what should be here, what shouldn't be here, all of that doesn't even matter to the forest. The forest doesn't fucking care what we think. And it's a nice feeling. It's a beautiful feeling to be in a place that doesn't give a shit about you. It doesn't give a shit about like what cool thing you shared with all of your friends, or your cool Instagram filter, or, these are things I do, I've actually gotten really good at Instagram filters. But this forest doesn't give a fucking shit about that. And it doesn't care about how many Facebook friends you have or how many people retweeted your last whatever. It doesn't care. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful that it doesn't care. And I wonder if that was kind of what would happen when people would walk down these paths, having visited family, friends, gone to the market 3 villages away. And then we're walking home and it was late, especially in the autumn, in the winter, when the sun was setting early. And there's times when there's no moon, there's just this lantern that you had that really only illuminated your steps in front of you. Didn't tell you what else was there. And it made darker everything on the periphery. And that sense that all of your troubles, all of the good things in life, all of the bad things in life don't matter to this. There's something other, something so real that escapes our narratives, escapes our beliefs and our ideologies. It almost feels like sometimes that's why we cut it down. It feels like that's why we're destroying nature, because we're so terrified that it doesn't give a shit about us. We're angry. How can nature not care about me? How can it not care about what I had for dinner? See, it was this cool restaurant. How can it not care about our civil wars and our oppressions and all of that? How can it not give a shit about that? Or like the great promotion I got at work, or that I'm in love. How can this not care? I do wonder. I think that's why we try to kill this. We're so angry at it, trying to make it care by cutting down every tree that we can, turning into toilet paper to wipe our asses, dig out every mineral that we can, to put it into our cars and our phones or whatever, to just completely destroy the earth, to punish it for not seeing us as the most important thing here. I love you all. I'm gonna go make myself some lunch. I'm gonna take my bike. Maybe go walk on a little bit more too. I'll talk to you again next week. Thank you for all of your support. And and my book, The Provisioner, is coming out soon. And also, I am teaching my course on Marxism one last time this year. Maybe one last time for a long time, because I'm working on developing a new course on Druidry and animism. So yeah, if you want to take that course, you got one last chance. And if you can't afford it, let me know, and I'll try to help you out. Yeah, be well, and I'll see you next week. Bye.